3 years after marriage. My husband said he was infertile and begged me bitterly to have a test-tube baby. I was in my pregnancy week after the test-tube baby and gave birth to a son. Before I even finished my postpartum confinement, he brought his first love to the delivery room. The son is mine and Jasmine's. Let's get a divorce. A paternity report was thrown on my face. Only then did I realize that it wasn't that he was infertile. It was that Jasmine couldn't give birth. When I was stimulated during my confinement and jumped off the building due to postpartum depression, the three of them were happily holding a full moon banquet for the child. When I opened my eyes again, I went back to the day when I went to the hospital to get the test-tube result. Looking at the report sheet, I grinned and chuckled. Want a son? I dared to give birth. Do you dare to recognize it? Wife, we have a son. Sean's excited voice pulled my thoughts back all at once. Just half a day ago, I received a video sent by Sean's first love. She and Sean were holding the child I gave birth to after being pregnant for more than 9 months. They were happily holding a full moon banquet for the child. The guests were happily saying blessings. Sean put his arm around Jasmine, with tears shining in the corners of his eyes. Under the witness of everyone, they kissed affectionately. Deep love can overcome all difficulties. Even if we are forced to miss each other, fate will still let us meet again. I love you, Jasmine. After watching the video, I completely collapsed. When I jumped from the top floor of the hospital, the video was still playing repeatedly on my phone. They were holding the child I desperately gave birth to and enjoying the joy of being parents. Only I alone paid the price of my life for this absurd marriage. The doctor said that we need to have a prenatal checkup by the way today, and have a good examination. While speaking, Sean was cherishing my belly as if it were a precious treasure. In my previous life, I didn't notice that all his kindness to me was only focused on my belly. Sean and I were classmates. Later, we got together through an introduction by an acquaintance. 3 years after marriage, we were still affectionate but had no children. Under the constant urging of our families, he finally told me the truth. Wife, I'm sorry. It's me who can't have children. I have infertility. Sean hung his head, tearing his man's dignity to pieces and revealing it in front of me. I only had full pity for him. It doesn't matter. There are so many DINK families now. At worst, we can also be DINK. But Sean shook his head apologetically. Let's have a test-tube baby. Having a test-tube baby is very painful. But Sean said he wanted a child. I also wanted a child in my heart. So I nodded and agreed. So after a year of test-tube baby treatment, I changed from a successful new woman before the test-tube treatment to a mentally in a trance neurotic after the test-tube treatment. When I gradually felt that life was gloomy, finally good news came. Both Sean and I attached great importance to this pregnancy. But when I had a difficult childbirth, he ignored the doctor's advice and insisted on saving the child rather than me. If you don't save my son, I will sue you and sue your hospital until it goes bankrupt. Sean ignored my life and death and shouted and made a fuss at the door of the delivery room. If my parents hadn't arrived in time, I'm afraid I wouldn't have had the chance to know that the child was an embryo developed from the fertilized egg of him and Jasmine. After giving birth to the child, he was completely focused on the child and ignored me. It wasn't until before I finished my postpartum confinement that he held his son in one hand and led Jasmine with the other, letting her throw the paternity test report on my face. I've endured you for a long time. This child is mine and Jasmine's. Let's get a divorce. If it weren't for Jasmine's illness and hysterectomy, how could I have married you? Sean left the ward with the child in his arms and Jasmine by his side, regardless of my being in confinement, letting me shout like a madman behind him. When I suffered from extremely severe postpartum depression, Jasmine and Sean happily prepared a full moon banquet for the child and sent a video of the happiness of the family of 3 to show off. Thank you for giving me a complete home. Turns out being a mother without pain is the happiest thing. Looking at the video, I was in tears for a while, and then laughed wildly for a while, taking advantage of the fact that the nurse didn't notice. I climbed to the top floor alone, There were so many people coming and going downstairs. But there was not a familiar figure. I closed my eyes and jumped off, feeling the sound left by the wind as it passed by my ears. I felt an unprecedented sense of relief in my heart. And a faint expectation, looking at the phone that Sean excitedly handed over again. I was a little dazed, automatically ignoring the test to result report sheet in the phone. I looked at the phone's time bar. After a few seconds of stunned, I realized I was reborn. Early in the morning, Sean started urging me to have breakfast so as not to starve his precious son. I absently did a few mouthfuls. After repeatedly opening my phone several times, I confirmed the fact of rebirth. Sean personally drove me to the hospital. Along the way, he didn't even let me hold my own phone. I've checked. Pregnant women can't hold heavy things. In my previous life, being spoiled by him like this, I only felt sweetness in my heart. This time, I handed over all my things to him with peace of mind. I quickly walked into the elevator, watching him run towards me panting and waving at me before the elevator door closed. Wife, wait for me. The elevator door slowly closed. I put away my fake smile and went upstairs alone. How is it? Is my son healthy? When I was being examined, Sean barged in. Before I could speak, the doctor chased him away first. Men wait outside. Sean was about to retort. But when he saw my bad complexion, only then did he obediently go out and sit at the door and wait honestly. When I came out, he was full of joy and was typing quickly on his phone. Without thinking, I knew that he must be sharing the joy with Jasmine. After all, this is their fruit of love. Wife, what did the doctor say? As soon as Sean saw me, he quickly put his phone behind his back. Looking guilty, thinking carefully. In my previous life, there were many such slips from him. But at that time, I was immersed in the big pie he drew. My mind was full of the happy life of a family of 3. The doctor said we'll know when the examination result comes out. I'm hungry. After coldly throwing down 2 sentences, I didn't wait for him either. I lifted my foot and walked towards the garage. Sean quickly followed. When I was hungry, in his opinion, it meant his precious son was hungry. Naturally, he didn't dare to delay. After having a meal, Sean sent me home and was about to go out. Where are you going? I'm going to the company. There is an urgent matter to deal with in the company. In my previous life, he sent me home and used the excuse of going to the company. In fact, he went to meet Jasmine to celebrate the successful conception of their child. I suddenly smiled at him. Okay. After he went out, I followed closely, seeing him meet Jasmine, kiss, and order at a restaurant. I remained calm and didn't move until the waiter started serving the dishes. Then I walked over. Husband, why are you here? I pretended to run into him by chance, looking surprised. Then I took the lead to find an excuse for him. Is this your client? The 2 quickly nodded and admitted. Why aren't you at home taking good care of the fetus? What are you doing out here? Sean stared at my belly guiltily. I'm hungry. I heard that pregnant people are easily hungry. Sure enough. After saying that, I pretended to look at Jasmine apologetically. Jasmine's face turned pale and she looked at Sean. I took a sip of water tactically, giving the 2 of them a chance to have a silent battle with their eyes. We were talking about work. What pregnancy experience are we talking about? In the end, Sean said reproachfully in a mild tone and began to put food in my bowl. While Sean went to the restroom, I took the initiative to add Jasmine's contact information. A glint flashed in her eyes and she immediately took out her phone. She scanned the code and I accepted. Just like this. Without Sean knowing, we became friends. That night when I went back, my moments, updated with a new post, a photo of Sean wearing an apron making midnight snacks. Caption, the good baby is waiting for daddy's midnight snack. Visible only to Sean and Jasmine. Soon, while eating midnight snacks, I heard Sean making a suppressed phone call on the balcony. From time to time, he would glance at me furtively like a thief. Sure enough, Sean was going out at night. I've been busy with the child's affairs during this period. There is too much backlogged work. Sean runs a small company and is often very busy. So I never thought before that he still had time to cheat. I smiled and teased. It's not to meet some female client again, is it? He immediately changed his expression and held up 3 fingers to swear to me. I chuckled. I was just teasing you. In my previous life, I was too trusting of his vows. As a result, all the retribution nests fell on me one by one. This time, let the pain and despair be left to them. Sean really didn't come back all night. Early in the morning, after having breakfast, I was a bit bored. I picked up my phone and dialed Sean's number. As soon as he picked up, I began to wail, "Hello, husband. My stomach hurts so much. Don't move. Wife, I'll be back soon." Sean nervously told me and quickly arrived. I looked at the time. It was hard for him. "Son, don't be afraid. Dad will take you to the hospital." As soon as Sean entered the door, he rushed to me. His eyes were fixed on my belly, and he didn't dare to breathe loudly. I sneered in my heart. But on the surface I was still in shock. "It doesn't hurt now. Husband. You don't know. I was sweating coldly just now from the pain." Sean's tense face relaxed. Only then did he let go of my arm and confirm with me, "Really don't need to go to the hospital?" "No need. However, the son may be missing his dad." Enduring my disgust, I leaned my head on Sean's shoulder. "How about I go to the company to accompany you at work?" Without waiting for his refusal, I quickly packed up and was ready to go out. "Let's go." I was in a good mood. Sean looked reluctant. It wasn't until I smiled and lowered my head and put my hand on my lower abdomen that he nodded resignedly. Coming to the company again. I still have some emotions. Since I decided to have a test to baby, I have withdrawn from the company and become a housewife. Now, only a year later, there are many new faces in the company. When they see me, they all look surprised and gossipy. My former director's office has also been changed into a small reception room. "Yara, long time no see." A surprised voice came. I turned around. It was Yvonne, the financial director, and also the person who introduced Sean and me. "Long time no see. Yvonne." I went forward and gave her a hug, but Sean nervously separated us, protecting my belly and looking at Yvonne unpleasantly. "Be careful. Don't squeeze my son." Yvonne was a bit embarrassed. "Okay. Yvonne and I haven't seen each other for a long time. Don't be so nervous." I sent Sean to work. I took Yvonne's hand and happily entered her office. Yvonne put on a smile again. "Congratulations. You finally got what you wanted." I put away my smile and looked down at my lower abdomen. What's there to congratulate? Sean's heart is not with me. Moreover, what's so-called getting what you wanted when carrying the child of my husband and his first love? Don't think too much. After the child is born, he will change his mind. I suddenly looked up. Only then did Yvonne realize that she had said the wrong thing and immediately looked away. I mean, Sean cares so much about the child. It must be loving the house and its crow. Yvonne's weak explanation was a lucky hit. Isn't it just loving the house and its crow? I didn't ask further. After all, Yvonne's attitude was already obvious enough. Does Sean often bring her to the company? To Yvonne, I spoke frankly. In this year, I don't know how many times Jasmine has come, but Yvonne has never told me once. I believe she has her difficulties and am willing to give her a chance to explain. Yvonne was silent for a while, and then got up and locked the office door. When you withdrew from the company for about 2 months, Sean brought Jasmine to the company for the first time. At that time, he said she was a client. Later, Jasmine probably regarded herself as the proprietors. From the gossipy eyes of those new people when I entered the door, I could tell. It's just that they probably all thought that I was the third party. I'm sorry. Sean threatened me and forbade me to tell you. Yvonne apologized in a low voice with apology. If it were in my previous life, I would definitely pounce on her, pull her hair and slap her twice, and scold her horribly. But now, I am very calm. So calm that I turn Yvonne's guilt into my capital to use her bit by bit. I choked up and said, "But Yvonne, I trust you so much. Can you bear to see me being cheated on while pregnant and even being driven out of the house?" "No. Sean values you and the child so much." "No. He only values the child." I think my expression must be extremely pitiful now. Yvonne's guilt became more and more obvious. I knelt in front of Yvonne with a plop, covering my belly. "Yvonne, you must help me. I can have nothing. But my child cannot be born in a broken family." Yvonne's face was stunned. She quickly reached out and pulled me up. When she was a child, her parents had a bad relationship and divorced. She understood better than anyone the misfortune and pain of a single-parent family. "How can I help you? Help me get evidence of Sean's infidelity." Yvonne frowned, looked at me inquiringly and showed difficulty. I quickly explained, "I don't mean anything else. I just want to use it to win Sean back and give the child a complete family." She finally nodded. I felt relieved and burst into tears and laughter. Another crucial step was completed. In the next few days, I began to become sleepy and lazy and lose my temper randomly. Sean couldn't stand it. He simply moved to the company on the pretext of leaving me in peace. Immediately after, Yvonne sent one video after another of Jasmine and Sean blatantly appearing in pairs in the company, kissing passionately in the office, and even doing shameless things in the company's restroom. The last text, "Are you okay?" How could I not be okay? I forwarded all the videos with one click, and then replied to her with a dejected expression. "For professional matters, it's still better to leave it to professionals." After that, I concentrated on taking care of my pregnancy every day and had regular checkups. When the child was 5 months old, I took the prepared evidence, called a lawyer, and came to the company again. Sean's company was originally opened in partnership with a friend. After it showed some improvement, he kicked his friend away. So now the two shareholders of the company are me and him. I hold X, and he holds Y. Didn't I say to knock before coming in? When my lawyer and I pushed the door and entered, Sean was hurriedly blocking Jasmine behind him. The two were in a flurry to straighten their clothes. TSK. Fortunately, I had prepared evidence in advance. "Isn't this a caught in the act delivered to the door?" "Yara, why are you?" Listen to my explanation. Seeing that it was me, panic flashed across Sean's face. His gaze subconsciously looked at my belly. I immediately put on a shocked and grief-stricken expression. "You two, having an affair during marriage. Sean, you bastard." Slap, slap. I slapped Sean on the face and then took a step forward and slapped Jasmine. "Scumbag and bitch." Jasmine pushed me back. "In terms of first come, first served. You are the mistress." I was supported by Sean and was stunned for a moment. What does she mean? "Sean, don't you want me and the child anymore?" Jasmine sneered, just as she was about to speak. Sean quickly stopped her. "Yara, don't be excited. How could I not want the child? This is all a misunderstanding." "Misunderstanding?" I saw it with my own eyes. "What? Do I have to catch you in bed before you admit it? If you don't want me and the child anymore, then why should I go through all the hardships to give birth? I'll go and abort it now." I cried and shouted and turned to leave. "No. No." Sean quickly stopped me. "Now." Both of them were panicked. "If you want me to keep the child, you have to give me a guarantee." I wiped away my tears and looked at Sean with a hurt expression. Sean immediately raised 3 fingers and made his usual vow. "I promise. I swear." "I don't want you to swear. I want you to transfer all the company's shares to me." Sean's expression changed, and his gaze towards me became a few degrees colder. Jasmine also glared at me angrily. I touched my belly and looked at Sean longingly. Whether it's yours or mine, it will all be left to the child in the future. Unless you want to leave it to this woman? Jasmine looked smug, as if saying, "You're right." Sean's eyes flickered and he immediately compromised. "Transferring equity is fine, but my equity should be transferred directly to the child, as expected of a businessman." Sean's mind turns quickly. "Okay." I readily agreed. His self-righteousness is exactly my real purpose. "Then you go back and take care of your pregnancy first. Wait for me to find a lawyer to draw up the contract and bring it to you." Sean breathed a sigh of relief and gently persuaded me to go home. But Jasmine was not happy. "Sean, there's no need to wait. It can be done now." Not giving Jasmine a chance to act, I immediately signaled the lawyer to take out the things. Only then did Sean notice the man who came with me, wearing a professional suit and carrying a black briefcase. He looked suspicious. "Why did you bring a lawyer?" I secretly laughed in my heart. Now that he has reacted, what's the use? "You said you found an investor and wanted to transfer part of the shares and asked me to transfer the shares under my name to you? Today the lawyer just happened to be free. Who knew that I would encounter you two?" I paused at the right time and showed a hurt expression again. "Sean did say this. In my previous life, I transferred all the shares under my name to him. Only before I died did I know that there was no investor at all. Sean transferred the shares that belonged to me to Jasmine." The lawyer opened the pre-drafted transfer contract in front of Sean. It did state that my shares would be transferred to Sean. Only then did he feel relieved. At present, only a simple modification is needed. I quickly signed and handed the two contracts to Sean. Sean read word by word carefully and stared at me for a while. It wasn't until I threatened him with the child again that he signed. "Yara, if anything happens to my son, these shares are still mine. You know? Probably afraid that I would take the shares and then abort the child." Sean reminded. Also threatened. I touched my lower abdomen and smiled gently. "This is also my son. I look forward to his safe birth more than anyone else." Only then did Sean feel relieved and let me leave with the lawyer. As for why not kick Sean and Jasmine out, I'm not stupid. Now I don't have the energy to manage the company. Moreover, letting them off so easily, I'm not reconciled. After I got the share transfer contract, Sean came home more frequently, but I found him disgusting and drove him to another room. Sean is also cheap. Every day, he attentively makes all kinds of tonics for me and accompanies me to baby supply stores. Like a responsible good father and good husband, he accompanies me as I wait for the birth. Unfortunately, I don't need it anymore. I'm going out shopping with my sisters later. Don't follow me. Now the child is more than 8 months old. I can feel that Sean's patience with me is almost running out. But it doesn't matter. Anyway, for him, all I have left is disgust. Looking at my bulging belly, Sean patiently asked, "Do you need me to drive you?" No. Now for him. I don't need any unnecessary explanations anymore. When I arrived at the agreed place, Yvonne was already waiting for me. "Yara, are you sure you want to do this? After all, he is the father of your child." Yvonne thought I was acting on impulse and tried hard to persuade me. I slightly lowered my head, and my face was unconsciously gentle. "He doesn't deserve it." As soon as I finished speaking, the baby in my stomach moved gently, as if responding to me. I smiled. Yvonne was about to speak again. I took the lead and looked at her seriously. "Yvonne, everything I do is for the child." Yvonne frowned. "For him? Let him become a single-parent baby and be unfortunate from birth?" "No." I smiled and shook my head. "It has nothing to do with being single-parent. A child born in love will not be unfortunate. Moreover, my child is not considered single-parent. Right?" Yvonne still looked disapproving, but in the end she didn't persuade me anymore. "Okay. I will help you." I tilted my head and smiled, raised my water glass and gently touched her glass. Yvonne still frowned but drank the water in the glass in one gulp. "Are you sure he won't be a burden to you?" Before leaving, Yvonne glanced at my belly and still couldn't help asking. But before I could answer, she left in big strides. When the child was more than 9 months old, Sean began to be restless and count down. I don't know what he is counting down. The doctor didn't say the due date. Yara, does your stomach hurt? I was eating fruit when Sean suddenly appeared and asked nervously. I gave him a look of disdain. My stomach doesn't hurt. But if you keep shaking me like this, my head will start to hurt. Sean looked embarrassed and sat down beside me. He casually turned on the TV and watched absentedly. Ouch. Suddenly, my stomach ached. I couldn't help but gasp. What's wrong? Are you about to give birth? Sean suddenly jumped up and hurriedly looked for the car keys. No. I need to defecate. I covered my stomach, dropped a sentence, and rushed straight to the toilet. Sean was left standing there stunned. This situation continued for another month. When it was 10 months, Sean couldn't bear it anymore. Why is there still no movement? Should we go to the hospital for a cesarean section? I didn't even bother to lift my head. What's the rush? Didn't the doctor also say that for children conceived through in vitro fertilization, staying in the mother's womb for a few more days is good for the child's development? Sean looked at my round belly and nodded blankly. I turned around and sneered. He really can't wait for a family reunion. Not only was Sean anxious, but Jasmine was also impatient. During this period, I kept sharing my experiences of waiting for childbirth on moments. Every time after I shared, Sean would hide and secretly answer the phone for a long time. I'm doing this for our child too. If you could give birth, would I have to do this? Sorry, baby. I was wrong. It's my fault. All my fault. After the child is born and our family of 3 is reunited, I'll make it up to you properly. Okay? Every time I saw him humbly coaxing Jasmine on the phone, I wanted to laugh. But he couldn't go to Jasmine to explain in person. He was afraid that if I was alone at home and something unexpected happened, it would affect his precious son. I was also happy to turn a blind eye, pretending not to understand the guilt in his eyes every time he looked at me after answering the phone. Son, you need to be born quickly. Don't keep mom and dad waiting too long. When I was 11 months pregnant, Sean was on pins and needles but gently urged my belly in a soft voice. The baby protested by kicking out with his little foot. I frowned in pain. Seeing this, Sean was delighted and looked up at me and smiled. My son understood. Then he changed to an even gentler voice. There's no need to be too hasty. Only when you are healthy will mom and dad be happy. Me. Ouch. I was speechless when suddenly my stomach twitched. Diarrhea again? Sean frowned but still reached out to help me up. My stomach is so big now that I need his help to go to the toilet. No. After a while, I felt my stomach twitch again and then slowly said, I might be about to give birth. Sean was completely panicked. About to give birth? How? No. What should we do? Take the hospital bag and drive to the hospital. I gritted my teeth in pain but had to calmly instruct Sean to take the things and leave quickly. Just like in my previous life. This time it was still a difficult childbirth. Save the baby. Save the mother. Doctor, I am the family member of the patient. Sean's words were interrupted but after seeing the person who came, he silently changed his words. Fortunately, I had notified my parents on the way here. Save both mother and baby. Doctor, this child is hard one for us. Please. Sean almost knelt down to the doctor for the sake of the child. It's a bit difficult, but we will do our best. A nurse coldly took the signed notice and the door of the operating room closed again. Without Sean's nonsense and delay. This time it was also a narrow escape. When I was pushed out, my parents immediately surrounded me. Mom was so distressed that she kept shedding tears. Sean took the child from the nurse's hands as if holding the most precious treasure in the world. There were 3 layers of wrinkles on his face. It was all happiness. Son, I am your father. I caught a glimpse of the nurse rolling her eyes. Maman happily criticized. The child is so small. What does he know? The person you should really care about is lying here. Sean put away his smile and didn't answer. After staying in the hospital for observation for a few days, my child and I were transferred to a maternity center. I chose it myself. It was more than 5 times more expensive than in my previous life. The environment was better and there was also a 24-hour security system management. Sean was dissatisfied. Aren't all maternity centers the same? Why waste so much money? In his opinion, although all the company shares have been given to me and my son, but the son belongs to him and Jasmine. So this money is still his. I didn't want to expose him either and waited to slap him in the face at the last moment. This money was not wasted. Until I finished my confinement. Jasmine still couldn't come and make a scene. Even when Sean tried to secretly take away his son, he was stopped by the security guard. This is my son. Why can't I take him away? When Sean was aggressively confronting the security guard, the people from the maternity center had already brought the son to me. After that, he was also put on the blacklist and couldn't appear in front of me again. To prevent these 2 people from disgusting me again, I directly posted a message on Moments, in confinement. Do not disturb. Then I turned off my phone. Only then did I turn to look at my son on the crib. The eyes and nose are like mine. As for the mouth, well, like his dad. Next, every day I was served delicious food and drinks, and was taken care of. When bored, I would tease the baby. It wasn't until the day I left the confinement center that I turned on my phone. Ignoring hundreds of bombarding messages from Sean and Jasmine, I directly clicked on Yvonne's dialog box. Everything is ready. Waiting for your message. I casually dialed the other party's phone. A long-lost voice came. You finally contacted me. I thought you regretted it and wanted to change your mind. I chuckled. How could that be? When it comes to taking revenge on a scumbag, I never regret it. Okay. I got it. After hanging up the phone, my mood was even more cheerful. Yara, you poisonous woman. How dare you not let me see my son? As soon as I walked to the entrance of the confinement center, Sean and Jasmine pounced on me. I took a step back while holding the baby. The security guard immediately appeared. Sean was blocked outside the door and still kept yelling crazily. I don't believe you won't come out today. Jasmine also cursed on the side. Sean is the child's father. You can avoid today. But can you avoid tomorrow? Can you avoid forever? Don't be afraid to tell you. The child in your arms has nothing to do with you at all. I pretended to be shocked and cooperated with Jasmine. What do you mean? Jasmine looked proud on her face. It means that the sperm and egg used for the test back then were mine and Sean's. Seeing that I didn't speak, Sean also became proud. If it weren't for Jasmine having her uterus removed due to illness, why would I marry you? So, Yara, now quickly return my son to me. Don't delay our family of 3 from reuniting. Perhaps because he had finally revealed the secret that had been suppressed for a long time. A trace of pleasure flashed across Sean's face. He and Jasmine smiled heavily, wanting to sequel apps and despair on my face. Even the security guard couldn't help but turn around and look at me sympathetically. In my previous life, I did as they wished. But this time, I sneered behind the security guard. Oh? Your child? Then what's going on here? I threw the report that I had prepared long ago at them, not seeing the expression they expected on my face. The 2 of them also began to be puzzled. Jasmine was the first to pick up the report on the ground and quickly glanced at it. Sean, bastard. Jasmine raised her hand and slapped Sean, then frantically tore at his hair. Sean was stunned by the slap. After reacting, he raised his hand and protected his head, showing his teeth and claws. What are you doing, Jasmine? Crazy woman. Stop quickly. Am I crazy? You deceived me for so long and finally told the truth. Right. I gently covered my son's ears and watched coldly as they fought like dogs biting each other. It wasn't until Sean subdued Jasmine and snatched the report from her and took a look that an expression of disbelief appeared on his face. Impossible. But it seemed that he didn't know how to explain it. Obviously it was his and Jasmine's son. How could the parent-child relationship written on the parent-child report with me be like this? There's something even more impossible. I gave them a mysterious smile. Then, a burst of police sirens sounded. Several policemen got out of the car. Who is Sean? He is. When Sean and Jasmine were stunned, I quickly pointed at Sean and answered the policeman. When learning the reason for being taken away, Sean desperately twisted his body and shouted at me. Yara, you have no right to sue me. I am also a shareholder. The shares are all in the name of my son. His son? Huh. Before the police took the person away, I quietly said a word to Sean. Are you sure this is your son? Sean was stunned. It wasn't until he was pushed into the car that he shouted crazily, Yara. What do you mean? What do you mean it's not my son? Bitch. Tell me clearly. The remaining words were blocked inside the car window. And the police car roared away. Jasmine was taken away as a related person. The world was quiet again. Son. Let's go home. I looked down and teased. The son let out a burst of giggles. According to the address given by Yvonne, I moved to the new home she had prepared for me. As soon as I opened the door, Yvonne showed a big smile to me. Welcome home. Looking at the new home full of warmth and complete children's supplies, I was also a little surprised for a moment. Isn't it a bit too much? Yvonne affectionately teased the child without looking up. How is it too much? Aunt still thinks it's not enough. Right. Baby. All right. Although helpless, Yvonne is really extremely good to the baby. Even when I was flustered because of being in a hurry, she would always rush to take care of the baby. While soothing the baby, she would observe my expression, as if afraid that I would not like my own son. I looked at the two of them with a kind aunt and smiling child, and sighed in my heart. But suddenly, my phone rang. Notification? I clicked it casually. A number without a note, but extremely familiar came into view. I'm back. Where are you? I'll go find you. I was stunned. With just a few simple words, I read them over and over several times before daring to confirm. My heart suddenly couldn't help but beat wildly. Extra chapter when I met Sean. There was actually someone hidden in my heart. I was in love with him in college. After graduation, we each started working. Originally, we planned to get married and have children after our work became stable. But on the second day after he proposed to me, he disappeared. After starting work, he always disappeared and reappeared inexplicably like this. I thought this time was the same as before, but his sister suddenly came. Ryan is gone. Come and see him off. I was both happy and sad. Happy that he was back, but sad that he was leaving again. I was about to go see him with his sister when his sister suddenly hugged me and burst into loud sobs. I blinked. It took me a long time to understand what she was crying about. When I returned to Ryan's hometown, there was only a black and white photo in front of the morning hall left. I can't remember very clearly what happened that day, or even during that period. It wasn't until 2 years later that I met Sean through Yvonne's introduction. He is very similar to Ryan. I had no intention at all. So on the day we met, I deliberately arrived late. Yvonne awkwardly tried to smooth things over and explain for me. But Sean said with a smile, Miss Yara must have been so late, because she attaches great importance to me. Yara must have been too attached to me, and that's why she was late. In an instant, I was stunned. It seemed as if the person sitting opposite me had turned into Ryan. The more we got along later, the more I felt that Sean was like Ryan. Equally intelligent. Equally gentle. Equally spoiling me. So later, when I found out that Sean had deceived me and saw his true colors, I completely collapsed. Reborn again. I was still in despair. I secretly aborted the child and wanted to destroy Sean and Jasmine together. But Ryan came back. In the 5th year after his death, he came back again. But what about me? I got married and divorced. I had someone else's child. Life is a mess and I am covered in bruises. I am no longer the Yara who belongs to Ryan. I turned around and ran away in a panic. Ryan caught up with me and carefully held me in his arms just like 5 years ago. He said he didn't blame me and asked me through tears if I still loved him. I was sobbing uncontrollably. Is love still there? 2 months later, he left again. Before leaving, Ryan kissed me over and over again. Yara, I'm sorry. This is the last time. When I come back this time, we will get married and never be separated again. Okay. I was reluctant in my heart, but still agreed with a smile. As long as he is still alive and as long as we can be together again, I am already content. Since Ryan left, I began to look forward to the future extremely. But after calming down, I remembered that there were still many things to deal with. When I was at a loss on what to do, heaven favored me again. I am pregnant. It's Ryan's. Even funnier is that Sean still thinks that the child in my belly is his and Jasmine's precious son. I spent a lot of money to change to a doctor and played along. I collected evidence of Sean's past marital infidelity and threatened him with the child. Sure enough, he fell into the trap, thinking that transferring the shares to the child and then taking the child away would be fine. After all, on the day when he confirmed that my test to baby was successful, he designed me to sign the divorce agreement. He thought he was certain to win. In fact, every divorce clause and property division detail was personally revised by me while keeping an eye on the lawyer. I'm afraid he never thought of taking another look after getting it. After transferring the shares, I deliberately didn't mention changing his status as a legal person. Sure enough, he let his guard down. After that, Yvonne and I joined forces and began to plan things for the company. All along, Sean has regarded the company as his own private property. He has transferred an unknown amount of money privately and hooked up with Jasmine. In a cooperative relationship, he cashed out a large amount of funds and transferred them to the other party's name in order to leave me with nothing. However, this time, his greed has become a handle for me to use. I originally thought that after doing all this, I didn't know how long it would take for Ryan to come back. Even as Yvonne said, I was prepared to be a single mother. But now, I looked at the text message, letting tears blur my eyes. Fortunately, this time he came back just in time. Neither early nor late.